Hi guys, today you're going to learn how to manipulate the data you got from your exercise lab. One of the reasons we're doing this is because number one, it's important for you to understand what actually happens to the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. That's the key thing that we're learning. But the side benefit is you're going to learn how to use numbers on Google Documents. It's a spreadsheet formula. Spreadsheets are ridiculously useful, all right, and it's a skill you really want to know. So it's a Google document, and one of the things you should know by now about Google Documents is the best way of sharing them is you don't have to print them out, you don't have to do anything, all your stuff is saved out on the cloud. And so you're going to share this with me, but before you can do that, you need to make a copy. Now you see up here where it says student data, we're going to go File, Make a Copy, and where it says Copy of Student Data, you're going to click between Student and 2019. You're going to put in your name. Okay, I'm putting in my name. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, now from now on, an important thing to remember, because you've started this document, this now lives on your drive and you will not want to reopen. You don't want to go to the link in Google Docs. You want to reopen this one, all right? So that's going to, I'll explain that a little bit later. All right, so there we go. So that's what we're doing now. Now, we have a copy and we want to actually start working with the data. So the first thing we have to do is we actually have to kind of separate the data, because you notice we got a whole bunch of data for elliptical and we have a whole bunch of data from weightlifting. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a whole other spreadsheet. Now, if you go down to the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see a little arrow there, a little cross there that says add a sheet. When I click on that, another sheet pops up called sheet 1. I'm going to click where it says sheet 1, and I'm going to call this aerobic exercise. All right. And so I'm just going to put the data that I want to work with there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go form, back to form responses, and I'm going to say, okay, I just want the information for aerobic. So what I'm going to do is, see where it says test subject's full name? It's under the B and in the first column. I'm going to click on that one box and it should light up in blue. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll over and I'm going to grab everything that has to do with weightlifting. You notice that Mike L is at the very end, 21. I'm going to hold shift and then I'm going to click on that 21 and that should grab everything. The other thing I can do, another way of selecting everything, is I'm going to grab where it says the 21 here, the Mike L's. I'm going to click, drag over, and then straight up, and then I can grab everything that way as well. Okay, so I've got all of the data selected. I just want that data. So I'm going to go Control C. There's a couple ways of copying it. I can go Control C on my keyboard, or I can go Edit, Copy, or sometimes it will allow me to go right-click Control Copy and then right-click Control Paste, but that doesn't always work. So either Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, or Control C, Control V. I'm going to go back to where it says Aerobic Exercise. I'm going to click in this first column, and I'm going to go Edit, Paste. Okay, or like I said, I can Control V. That sometimes works as well. All right, so now I got all this information. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Everybody's doing an aerobic exercise here. So I'm going to just click on column 2. I want to get rid of this column. So I'm going to click at the top of the column, and now everything lights up, and I'm just going to right-click, and I'm going to delete that column. All right, so now I just have the data that I really want. All right, now I want to do a couple of things here. Okay, the first thing I really want to do is I want to actually total up all the data, and then I want to take the average. So at the bottom, right underneath Mike L, I'm going to put total, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to put average. So now how do I get this? Well, when we total up the data, we're doing a thing called sum. Now there's a couple of ways of doing it. If you look over in the corner, you see this little Greek letter E on the extreme right of the band here, okay, where it says functions. I could click that and go sum, and then it will actually put the formula in for me. All right. You notice it says equals sum, open parenthesis, and then a blank. All I would have to do is highlight this whole column, and that would sum everything up. But there's actually another way of doing this. Okay, I can actually just type that in by hand. Equals, okay, sum, open parenthesis, and then I just click up here where it says 80 and drag all the way down to the 68, and then I close the parenthesis, and boom, that gives me the sum. So that's the sum of all that data above it. And I'm going to click, and I'm going to do something called a relative drag fill. If you don't know this and you're like me, you're a lazy person, you're going to love this. Instead of having to do the same thing over and over for each of these columns, because it's the same formula, it's just add up everything that's in the column above. If I click on the column where I put that in, where it says 128, and then I move the cursor over the lower right-hand corner, you're going to notice it turns into a cross. All I have to do then is click, drag across, and boom, that brings all the column across. So that totals up everything. Now, right off the bat, you should notice, gee, what happens? The total heart rate, which doesn't make any sense because there's no such thing as total heart rate, is 1,028, and then it goes up to 1,694. So everybody's heart rate collectively went up, and then it went back down after we took a rest. Now, what I want to do is I actually really don't want the sum. I want the average. So again, I can do that by typing it in, equals average, and I just want to grab average, open parenthesis, and then I just grab everything that I want to average. Do not include the 1028 because that would be silly. And then I close it, close the parenthesis, and boom, that gives me the average. Now, there's a couple things about that. You notice that that's really kind of, I really want to round that off. So let's do this relative drag fill first. I'm going to click on the lower right-hand corner, drag across, and you notice that all the numbers come in perfectly, except I've got this weird, it's got all these decimals. So what I'm going to do is, since I want to change those numbers and since they're already highlighted, I'm going to click up to where it says Format, Number, over to where it says Number, and that just rounds it off to 2 decimal places. So again, you notice the average pulse rate went from 73 to 121 down to 60, basically 66. All right, cool. So that's how you can actually get all your data in place. Okay, that's what we're doing for now. What I would like you guys to do, because I think this is going to be kind of cool, what I'd like you guys to do is I want you to go back and see if you can do the same thing. So that means you're going to take the lessons you learned here and you're going to apply them, all right? So at this point, you can take a break because I'm going to end this video and we're going to move on to the next part.